Hello everyone. So I just wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit about the new essay and the new sources that you're supposed to find by tomorrow. So I am going to open this deadline up until Monday night, 11:30, just because I've gotten a couple of questions about the topic choice and I don't think that have been entirely clear. So I do want to explain. The first essay, the presentation, all of that was supposed to help you decide exactly what you wanted to study and research for this new essay. So if you liked the topic that you wrote your literature review about, then stick with that topic, because that means that you already have two sources for this paper. Now with those two sources, you're now looking for an additional two sources, and you're going to have one source evaluation sheet for each of those new sources. So you have 4 sources minimum for the informative research paper. I'm going to say you can only have a maximum of 6 sources because I feel like any less than 4, you're not going to be able to give a lot of information. Any more than 6, you're going to give too much information, or you're going to be just skimming the surface of those sources. And the purpose of this new paper is to really go through and learn how to integrate source material in a really meaningful way and an academic way, and to make sure that you know how to cite those and track them throughout your research. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well. So when you're citing these sources, the best thing to do is to start building those source citations right away. Like as you're going through, you want to do that last name of the author, the date of publication, and you should only give the year, and then the page or the paragraph number. You don't need to give both the page and the paragraph number. You give the page number if it's something that is in a database or a journal, and you give the paragraph number if it's just a website. You are allowed to use sources from websites, but they have to be scholarly, creditable sources. You can't just pull something off of a food blog or something like that. So one of the things that you want to do with this source evaluation sheet is you want to tell me a little bit about this source, because when we move to the next step next week and we start outlining this and really planning how you're going to put your research in, we're going to have annotations for each of these sources. So you want to make sure that you're going through your sources, you're skimming them, you're making sure that they're the kinds of sources you want to use, that they're readable, that they're relevant, those kinds of things. And when you're writing about them in your source evaluation sheet, you want to make sure that you're speaking really specifically about how they're going to inform your research. So to give you an example of what that looks like, you want to talk about the exact information in the source that made you choose it. What made that source important to your research? So one of the ways that I tell people to incorporate their sources into their papers is by answering 2 questions. What is the source saying, which is your summary, and why is it important? And this is where that specific information comes into play. So for example, let's say that you're writing about the use of social media in classrooms. You can't say that social media has a huge impact on classrooms. You have to tell me exactly how. So you'd have to say something much more specific, like the use of YouTube in the classroom, both by teachers and students, has a significant impact on achievable learning objectives. Something that defines exactly what it's having an impact on and exactly how it's achieving that goal. And in that way, you can make sure that you're providing specific information from each of your new sources. So don't think too carefully about using quotations right now, but when you're looking at your sources, start going through and annotating and highlighting things that you think you can use in your paper. So we're going to build your paragraphs for this paper based on your sources. So your sources are really one of the most important parts of this assignment, because without quality sources, you're not going to be able to give me quality research. It's very important that you track your citations, because another one of the major outcomes of this course is making sure that you know how to use APA and conduct academic research. And so this is a big deal. Make sure that as you're going through and finding your sources, you have ways to get back to those sources very quickly. I prefer, when I'm doing research, to print my sources or to have a method of annotating them, like for instance on my iPad. but it's entirely up to you, whatever works best for you. Research is one of the primary skills that this course in particular is teaching you. It's something that you're going to use in the future in your academic career, but also you're going to use it in your professional career. And I would say it's even more important to have a strong foundation on those skills because you're going to be using it for the rest of your life. So if you have any questions about the research for this new paper, please let me know. And if you have trouble finding any sources, I'm more than happy to work with you guys. So hopefully you'll get all of your papers back by the end of tonight. If not, tomorrow at the latest. And let me know if you have any other questions. Have a great weekend.